¿Cómo están? ¿Cómo les fue de receso? No, se me hace que no descansaron bien. ¿Cómo les fue en el receso? Eso, ahora sí, ya nos estamos entendiendo. ¿Están listos para la siguiente speaker? Déjenme platicarles un poquito de qué se trata. Su nombre es Ayesha, doctora Ayesha Khanna. Ella es cofundadora y CEO de Ado AI. Es una empresa de soluciones de inteligencia artificial e incubadora. Ado AI apareció en la revista Forbes como una de las 4 empresas líderes de inteligencia artificial en Asia en el año 2017. Ella fue calificada por esta misma revista como una de las mujeres empresarias más innovadoras del sudeste asiático en el año 2018. También es fundadora de 21st Century Girls, organización benéfica que ofrece clases gratuitas de codificación e inteligencia artificial para niñas. Antes de fundar Ado AI, Ayesha pasó más de una década en Wall Street, desarrollando sistemas de análisis de datos, gestión de riesgo y comercio a gran escala. Así que, ¿qué les parece si la recibimos con un fortísimo aplauso? Bienvenida, Ayesha.
Hello, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here today to speak about artificial intelligence and how it can amplify human potential. And I've come all the way from Singapore, and it's my first time in Mexico, so I'm very excited to be here. My slides are going to come up in a second, and then I will start. Oops, sorry. One of the things that I have been working on my whole life is artificial intelligence and how it is going to transform the way we live. The most important thing that all of us need to know is that talent is today the most valued thing in every organization. And that's why the way talent lives is going to be paramount. So what kind of cities are we going to live in? Let me take you all the way to China, where they are building the world's first pandemic-resilient city. And this is Xi'an. It was designed by Spanish architects, and they wanted to create a place where everyone could continue to work, whether there was a war or pandemic or any kind of disruption to everyday life. And here's what it looks like. As you can see, the city is made up of just a few city blocks. It's not a sprawling metropolis. And the idea is that everything you need as a worker, entrepreneur, businesswoman is right there near you. So how is that possible? Well, some of the things to notice are that there is a co-working space, everything is near you, but also there's a 3D manufacturing hub. So let's say your microwave is not working, your fridge is not working, and instead of calling someone to fix your home appliances, you just walk 5 minutes, and in this 3D printing workshop, you can 3D print whatever appliance you need, and you can fit it right into your home. Or let's say you want to have food, and you don't want to go to the grocery store. You can just go and get whatever you need where it's being cooked absolutely fresh nearby. This is the vision of the future smart city, a place where people like you and me can thrive. And the purpose of artificial intelligence is to turn every piece of infrastructure in a particular place, in an area that is dynamic and alive and intelligent, to facilitate talent to be free and to have the absolute best productivity. Buildings in Tokyo, let me take you to Tokyo, are being retrofitted with artificial intelligence for multi-use and sustainability. So that when you come into a building, you don't have to show your ID, you don't have to call anyone to change the energy system if it's too cold or too hot. As you walk through the building's artificial intelligence will recognize you, will welcome you, and will make sure that you are authorized to be there, and you can talk to the building. You can say, you know, my office is too cold, please change it and make it warmer, and it would automatically do that. It will make sure that no one is allowed inside the building that does not have proper authority. And this will continue as our environment becomes covered with a layer of digital infrastructure. So let's imagine now how else we can make our firms productive. All of us spent too much time on Zoom and Teams during the pandemic. It was exhausting. But now, Facebook has come up with a new kind of immersive virtual reality that is less exhausting and easier for work collaboration. And you wear maybe sunglasses eventually, but here you can see they are goggles, and you literally are immersed into a collaborating environment. The difference here is that unlike games or science fiction movies, this will seem really real. It's called social presence. So that when you are speaking, you will be seen exactly as you are in the immersive environment. And when you are speaking, your microphone and headphone will hear it exactly from where it's coming in the room. And you will be able to get all your non-verbal cues. So right now, I'm sitting in front of you. You are all giving me non-verbal cues through your eyebrows furrowing, through your smile. You have masks on right now, but if you don't, through the way you turn your head. And these are very important for talent collaboration, but completely missing in places like Zoom, where we're too upfront, which causes anxiety. So the new immersive workplace is going to give talent more ability to collaborate from wherever they are, and the ability for them to actually spend more time at home with their families, be more fit, have more quality interactions, and be less stressed about going and traveling and commuting. Now, what happens when you want to transform your physical space into any other space? Well, one of the big disruptions for healthy living, and remember, for talent, we want them to be healthy. You and I should be going to the gym and working out instead of being trapped in commuter trains or buses. So in the future smart city, you will have more and more of this kind of amenities in your workplace and your home. This is tonal. So tonal is like a mirror on your wall. But what it does is it has these weights, these arms, and you pull them down, and they're hydraulic and digitally controlled by an AI. And this artificial intelligence is your gym trainer. And through computer vision, it looks at your form, it knows your heart rate, it knows how much you're perspiring, and then it tells you how to push yourself and which exercises to do. And when you're done with this gym, then you can just put the arms up and move on to your next activity. It's hard to imagine how our entire infrastructure, like this place, we think it can only be used for one thing, But with AI, it can be used for multiple things. And this is where we will live. Now, I'm going to tell you why it's happening is not only software. How many of you have children? Okay. So when you or your wife got pregnant, you know that you had to have an ultrasound. To have an ultrasound, you need to go to a clinic. You're a busy worker, you have to get in, you have to go to the clinic. In the clinic, there is a room. In the room, there is an ultrasound machine. Next to the machine, there is a nurse that tells the ultrasound to check on the baby. Now imagine, how could you have that in this building? Well, for that, your ultrasound would have to be this small. This is Butterfly Q. It's a handheld ultrasound. You see, hardware is shrinking, which means that we can do more right there that makes the job of our doctors easier. And there's artificial intelligence in the smartphone. It's directly connected to your smartphone so that anyone can check on their baby's health, and then the artificial intelligence will send a note to your doctor who can then advise you if everything is okay and the baby is all right. It can also be done for a child or anything else. So now open your mind and imagine one space becoming anything else in service of us, the talent, the global talent in the world. Because everyone wants people, because people are able to do strategy, people are able to understand customers, people are able to think about marketing and product design, and artificial intelligence and data become our little assistants that help us through that journey. Now, what else does AI help you and me do? Well, it makes problem solving and innovation easier and faster. And for that, I want to take you very close by to Chile. Now, in Chile, I didn't know that, but it represents the third largest market for mayonnaise in the world. And people are very particular about their mayo. It has to taste good, otherwise they will reject it. So these three gentlemen decided in 2015 that they would make a plant-based version of mayo. They said, we want to change how food is made. We want to make it sustainable. We want to disrupt the entire market. Well, it was a good idea, but you know, these things are not easy to do. Usually, you would have a laboratory. In the laboratory would be your lab assistants, like this young lady, and some chefs. And they would mix different kinds of plants together, and then they would create recipes, and then they would be basically tested by customers and chefs. It can take years to come up with something that could compete with an existing product. So they decided to get the help of a new team member, Giuseppe. And Giuseppe is an artificial intelligence chef. Here's what they did. They gave Giuseppe the structural content of 400,000 plants. They said, here are 400,000 plants. Now come up with something that mimics the molecular structure of milk or mayo. And Giuseppe did something that humans can't do. It started crunching all of those numbers super fast. And then it gave a number of formulas to the chefs to try, and over time, they were able to do things like mix cabbage and pineapple to make milk, something that a human being would not have thought of immediately. Was it successful? Well, this is what it looks like. It's literally an platform. It's looking at the nutritional content of everything, and it is full of code. And the result was that Not Mayo has become the second best-selling mayo supplier in Chile, which is a phenomenal feat. And they were able to achieve this with the help of their AI assistant. And this is how talent, people like you and me, should always look at AI. How can it help us? How can it make my life easier? How can it help me achieve my dream for my company? And here's the amazing thing, guys. Not only does the AI help you do things that you couldn't do on your own fast enough, it does it faster every time. So the first time it made milk 2%, it took 10 months. But guess what? By the time the company made whole milk substitute with plants, it only took 2 months. So as a company, you need to think about AI and data and how it can make you more competitive. Otherwise, out of nowhere, somebody is going to come with a Giuseppe or some other Alexa-type agent and make you less competitive. And by the way, you always need humans. Do you know that Giuseppe's first milk was green in color? And they had to tell them because it was just doing the math. Didn't care how it was green. So they had to put in a new rule and teach the AI that milk is not green and that it should froth a certain way when you have a cappuccino. And so with human guidance, it became better and better. Jeff Bezos noticed across the pond and invested in it. Even Roger Federer, the tennis champion, invested in it. And now they are doing so many cool things, like not chicken, not salmon. They are partnering with Burger King. You can go to many, many countries now. They're expanding to 4 countries, and they're constantly using their AI assistant to do things faster and better. But at the end of the day, it was the dream of one man to build a fundamentally new way of thinking about food. And that's the beauty. You can apply to mining, to construction, to agriculture, to anything. You can say, let me free my mind. Because all of us are trapped in things we think are possible. And I'm here to tell you that the job of technology is to free you and through smart cities to give you time so that you can have a meaningful, healthy life and be productive too. Let me give you another example, this time on agriculture. So 80% of all food will be consumed in cities because 10 billion people will live in cities. How can we possibly feed 10 billion people, 80% of whom live in cities, when our agricultural lands are so far away? And you know, in countries like India, 30% of the food goes to waste from the time it comes from the agricultural field to the grocery market because of corruption, logistics, poor refrigeration. Well, let me tell you again, let's open our minds. Most of you probably have heard of vertical farming. That is, can we grow food anywhere in the city? Some people think you can grow it in your home, on the side of buildings, as we're doing in Singapore. But how about London? Where can we grow it in London? Buckingham Palace, Big Ben. How about a tunnel where World War II refugees were kept. And that's precisely what happened. They went deep below London's Clapham Street. And here you can see it was literally home, a bomb shelter during World War II. And they said, this is interesting. Let's make this into a precision farm so we can feed London's city population. And hydroponic farming is much more sustainable. It uses less soil, and it is water-based. So it also is more productive in using water. Now, you may say, how good is it? Well, it uses several % less water and is 12 times more in terms of productivity than what a farm can produce. Unbelievable. In a tunnel, you can produce 12 times as much food from a set of seeds because it is being monitored, it is being used efficiently. So how does it do that? It uses these LED lights to put the perfect amount of sunlight on the soil. It uses the perfect amount of water that's dripping in by observing the humidity and how the strawberries and vegetables are growing. And by combining this analysis, constant analysis of the data, it is able to create the perfect conditions to get more from the same seeds. And this is business optimization. This is when you can be disruptive, but optimize your profit and loss at the same time. How do they know all this data? This is where it gets interesting. It does it through a digital twin miles away. A digital twin is when you actually have the entire farm controlled remotely through an AI model. So all the data in the farm is actually coming to your Cambridge University computers. It is constantly monitoring how the soil is doing, how the plants are growing, and it is changing the environment. Any environment can have 20 to 30 things that it is optimizing at any time. This was also the dream of two founders. They started something called zero carbon farms. And they built this. They could not have done this without data and artificial intelligence. But the vision came from human talent. The idea of where to put it came from human talent. The location, the interviewing of the customers, the ability to map the routes of where it would go from the source where the farm was creating it to where it would eventually be delivered to people's home came from human talent. This partnership between human talent and artificial intelligence is the most powerful combination that humanity will see in terms of digital economy in the coming months and decades. So now I would say many of your team members will have AI colleagues. In fact, if I was to come here 5 years from now, honestly, some of you may be AI, and some of your colleagues could be AI as well. So let me take you to Singapore. This is Spot. Spot is a robot. During the pandemic, we did not have enough people, we're a small country, to patrol the parks. So we used Spot, who would be on the parks, and he would tell people, excuse me, sir, excuse me, madam, you are not keeping enough distance between you, and you may get COVID as a result. This became very normal. In fact, when you go to restaurants in Singapore, when you go to other kinds of airport, any other place, you will see many robots on the street. It's very commonplace now. They're cleaning, they're collecting garbage. They will ask you if you want water at the airport, offer you candy if you're a kid. And this is because we need that. We need our talent and young people in Singapore to be focused on building companies, on working together to build innovative services, and not to worry about these things that can be done by computers. In fact, the Singapore government said every single person should have a personal AI assistant. Now, a personal assistant was usually for senior management or for wealthy CEOs. And I always, when I was younger, I always used to look at my senior management, and I was so jealous that they always had a personal assistant who took care of everything. But now the Singapore government is saying everybody should have one, at least for their dealings with the government. Why are they saying this? Because they value talent. We are only 3 million citizens. We cannot afford for our people to be wasting time standing in lines, thinking about where they're going to get their passport, thinking about what the law is related to aging and insurance for the elderly. We need all of them to be comfortable and have one interface for all dealings with the government. So as a result, they created an app, and this app is your assistant. From the moment you are born, your parents are able to file for your birth certificate. It has all your immunization in it. It is able to tell you where the preschool you should go at. It's able to get your medical appointments. And as a result, it makes your entire life personalized. When you're going to college, it will tell you the subsidies that are available. If you're sick, it will tell you exactly what insurance your government provides you, and you'll never need to go and talk to and sit in a government office or be on the phone. It will tell you before, over time, you even need it. And this is what I mean by thinking of AI as your personal assistant. Now, this is very rare, by the way. You may think it doesn't happen here, it doesn't happen in my company, but my job today is to kind of show you where the future is. Now, people are using it for a lot of things. In fact, in the US, Replica, and you can download it on your phone, has been downloaded 7 million times. Because people were isolated and lonely, and they can talk to Replica. So we'll also eventually stop treating them as just machines. Maybe our children and grandchildren will really think of them as friends, kind of the way we have seen in the movies. In fact, imagine that you are sitting after a long day and you go home, and in your home, you could go out for dinner, but you're alone. You don't want to make the effort. You download Replica. And just for $5 more, you can download any library, whether you want to discuss art history. Let's say you love art and the museums in Paris. If you download that module, Replica will talk to you for hours about the different Mona Lisa and all of the different kinds of art and sculptures. It's not for everyone. I have had a hard time adjusting to it. I downloaded Replica, but it was difficult for me. I think it's an age thing. When I talk to young people in the US and Europe, they seem really comfortable. And as we create environments in which we want people to interact with brands more, we see that they are building these kinds of assistants and friends. So one of the things that is really transformative is that people want to build customer loyalty. And they need to constantly be in touch with their customers by providing useful interactions. And this is one way better than constantly sending them email campaigns and harassing them, because nobody wants that anymore. The new generation is using TikTok more than it's using Google to search for news, which Google itself admitted. So there is a massive transformation in how young people and younger people, your clients, are going to think about this. And here is where I find Japan very interesting. So I was at a conference, and I met the founder of Loveot. Loveot are little tiny robots, and their purpose is to provide happiness in the home. And they're literally like this. They're adorable and cuddly. And they, as I was sitting, just like I'm standing here, 2 Loveots came, and one of them sat in my lap. And it was so cute, and the more I touched it, the more it wriggled and laughed. And it was really, really adorable. And now they're using it to make the elderly feel less lonely in Japan. And they're also experimenting with care companions in the US. So there's a business reason that these care companions are being provided. We are entering a new hybrid reality, one in which machines will be transforming our environment through the many new kinds of VR and other kinds of tools in our physical spaces, where they will be our colleagues helping us move faster, and where they will be in our homes. In the next decade, we will not only see more machines, we ourselves will be far more in the internet. So how many of you have heard of the Metaverse? Okay. The Metaverse is something that Mark Zuckerberg really took from a small concept to a huge thing. He was so excited about it that he renamed Facebook Meta. And this is the realization that all of us are spending more time in the internet. Now, did you know how many gamers there are in the world? This really shocked me. There are 3 billion gamers in the world. To give you some idea, there are only 4.3 billion urban dwellers in the world. Gamers are not only people who have huge goggles on them. They are mobile phone gamers. They are gamers that are playing all kinds of games with Xbox or with Fortnite. And they live in much more immersive reality. And maybe your kids are doing it, or your nieces and nephews, or you, than we do. The Metaverse is so big an economic opportunity that Microsoft paid $70 billion to acquire Activision. This is historically the most money that has been spent on an acquisition and the most money that Microsoft has ever spent. Why did they do it? Because Microsoft wanted access to Activision's 390 million monthly users. That's more than the population of the United States is sitting and playing games like Candy Crush, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft. And gaming and the Metaverse are a match made in heaven. Why? Number 1, gamers are used to working together, not in terms of Zoom conferences, but really in teams, in fantastical environments. Number 2, they are used to buying things, digital assets. You know, we own cars, we own appliances, we own houses. Now a whole new thing is digital assets. Do you own land in the internet? Do you own a car in the internet? And do you own this, and do you know what its value is because you can trade it with someone else? Gamers are used to this. They buy skins, they buy accessories, they buy weapons, digital, they buy makeup. And then they're used to paying for it in different currencies also. We keep hearing about crypto and Bitcoin and how it's going up and how it's going down. But the fundamental thing is people want currency digitally that they can easily exchange without friction. And gamers are used to this. In every game, they buy game coins. That's why we need to understand the huge opportunity for gaming. Now, governments, you may say, they're so backward. They don't know about the metaverse. But here, I'm going to take you to South Korea. This is the mayor of Seoul, the capital of South Korea. He is sitting in the metaverse. It means you go on the internet with your goggles, your VR headset, and you walk into the mayor's office, and there he is. That's where he's sitting. Why is he doing this? Because South Korea is the 4th largest gaming market in the world. 70% of South Korea's population enjoys gaming. And when they want to get government services, when they want to get services, they don't want to go to physical location or some www.seoul.gov. They want to go where they are already hanging out. They want to go to a metaverse where they are meeting their friends and doing different things. This is very important to understand, that in fact, if gaming is a $180 billion global market, the metaverse is a $1 trillion market. It's very big. I mentioned earlier that as a marketing executive, you are trying to figure out where to market. Well, you used to market on YouTube. You used to market on Google. You know, Google, that's how they make all their money, is through AdWords and searches. But young people don't want to go there. They're already on TikTok and Instagram. That's where they're searching now. So your clients, whether it's B2B, at some point, the old executive who's head of your client company may become replaced by his son or the next successor, rising star employee. They'll be young, and they will be in the metaverse. So every company needs to think about it and have a metaverse strategy. And it's more than that. It's an opportunity for talent to be paid for what they are providing. Now, I don't know how many of you listen to Lil Nas. He's a rapper. But what he did was, he had a concert in Roblox. Roblox is a game for 9 to 12-year-olds. But he had a concert and 33 million views. He sold millions in merchandise. It literally blew my mind when I read about him and other pop stars, other creators who are going into these game environments and literally getting money instead of giving it to someone else who arranged their concerts, instead of taking all of their big equipment and moving from country to country on a world tour. So that's why they say that for talent, this will provide a whole new digital economy. for companies a whole new avenue to market, to have brand loyalty, to have creative events, to actually be able to create education and training. And all of these are going to transform business as we know it. But Lil Nas, you may say, well, he's not traditional. Okay, how about McDonald's? Is that traditional? McDonald's has 33,000 physical stores in the world. Guess what? In 100 countries, 25% of sales comes through digital channels. That means somebody is on their mobile phone or on the internet. They're not going through a drive-through and they're ordering Big Macs and yummy fries. At least I find them yummy. And so McDonald's decided, wow, okay, we should go where all the kids and all the people are hanging out digitally. So they set up a store in the Metaverse. Even JP Morgan went. Even HSB Bank went. The Metaverse is locations on the internet, like a giant mall. You can say Facebook has one Metaverse. It has one mall. Sandbox has another mall. Decentraland has another mall. And it's like opening branches. So these companies are opening branches, virtual branches, because everybody's just hanging out there. At least 3 billion people are expected to be there. So this is a new technology. This is a new evolution because you and I are spending more time in the internet, and so we are going to be looking at the artificial intelligence and augmented reality. And this will happen everywhere. You might have heard of augmented reality, where you can put a layer of information on anything that you see. It was a dream. For many years, we saw it in science fiction movies, and we said, it's never happening. But guess what? All of your iPhones support augmented reality in their operating system. That means there are 1 billion active iPhones that have augmented reality. Street Easy. I'll give you 2 examples. The first one, Street Easy is a real estate company. So when all of you get your bonuses, you can say, I want to buy an apartment in New York. And when you go to New York, you say, how about that building? You put your phone up there, tells you automatically a layer on what you see. Here are the condos available. This is the price. These are the repairs that were needed. This is what it's selling for. This is how many rooms this has. This is the floor plan. Augmenting the physical with the digital. And this is just one example. The most effective will be in manufacturing, because everybody will be able to use these phones and go to any machine or any process in any kind of mining, logistics, manufacturing, and be able to understand exactly what is happening to that machine, if it's functioning, not functioning, what repair is needed. And this will be enormously helpful to people, both to consumers and to employees and to employers. So I have spoken a lot about AI, how talent will live, how talent will be supported by AI, how it will be our friend in the future, how we will actually enter new worlds that we have not experienced and reach our customers through that. But in all of this, all technology sounds exciting and sounds a bit like science fiction, but everything I talked about today, everything is already happening. I did not give you one example that was science fiction. Yes, it's not so common, might not be in your life It might not be in your company or your clients or your friends' lives, but it's coming. And so when you live in such a world, when you and I lived in this hybrid reality, then our values are really important. Because the AI is not smart. The AI is based on what AI engineers like myself, I have an AI company, we build intelligent data platforms. If the data is biased, then the AI is biased also. It makes mistakes. A lot of people talk about technology is going to replace humans. That is absolutely not true. The AI is dumb. It's just good at mining lots of numbers. And it's our job as humans to direct it, to use it, to also make sure that it has no bias in it. I'll give you an example. In California, the judges used an artificial intelligence system to help them determine if a person should be granted parole or not. And you know what they saw? Over the year, they noticed the AI kept refusing parole for African Americans. It was completely biased because the AI had learned from biased judges in the past. And so there was a huge movement in California to shut down this AI system, this AI assistant. And this is what we see again and again. I spoke to all of you about technology. I'm sure most of you are not techies. My point today is, you are a techie because you live in this world. You should look in the mirror and say, I'm a techie. I can evaluate the business value of this technology, and I can evaluate if this technology is making a mistake. All of us need to do that, or we will not be able to live in a world in which mistakes are made, such as the AI wrongly identifying people as potential criminals, or wrongly forecasting a particular optimization for a company. When we do that, we take ownership. I would like all of you to walk away today saying, I understand, I want to make it useful for me, and I will also be critical of my tech team and data team and say, that doesn't sound right to me. I don't trust that. Let's change that. Because all of us need to be techies. The European Union is so good about this. They make sure that data is protected. That all of our data that we're giving is always kept secure. And we should follow their guidance. When the European Union started working on data protection and data privacy, it was followed by the entire world. Because countries said, data is a national asset. You can't just take our data, company XYZ. We, our citizens, our talent, and respect is needed for their data. It's the same thing when it comes to artificial intelligence and a risk-based framework for AI. They said, if it is risky and you are not governing it well, we will fine you up to 6% of your annual revenue. And this is the tsunami of technology coming our way, that countries, European Commission, America, China, Mexico, everybody is thinking about this because they know every company in the world is going to use AI and data. People like us are going to use it to become better employees, employers, teammates, and we need to govern it to make sure that it is done for the benefit of our customers and is not manipulating them in any way. And the last thing on the topic of using AI is communication. When the Singapore government bought the robot, it was everywhere in the news. They were constantly communicating to us as citizens. You will see this robot dog. He will be in the parks. But when New York City, when the police department said, good idea. Let's use this robot dog to go in before our human police officers go in to check if there are any bombs in a building. There was a huge uproar. People didn't understand. New Yorkers said, oh my God, this dog is going to have a gun. The robot dog is going to kill us. So the NYPD, New York Police Department, realized that whenever you introduce AI to a company, a city, or any other place, you have to explain it in easy-to-understand terms. And you should demand it. Each one of you will understand it because it's not so hard to understand. And you know your business. You know what works for your business. And so you know what your clients need. And so we are a team of superheroes. That's me in the middle. All of us are superheroes. We all have our skills. We all matter. We have our experience. No AI, no technology can replace that. But if we're smart, we can use AI as our little assistant. Just like all the examples I showed you. Doesn't have to be today, doesn't have to be tomorrow, but in the next 5 years, you will see data becoming more and more available, and AI becoming available to become competitive. And you must seize it. You must demand of your company to move it forward into this exciting new era, but do it responsibly so that we don't hurt people, but we have our ethics in place. So I will end with this picture. As you know, I have a charity called 21st Century Girls. And I'm very big on women and tech because there are not enough girls in tech. Especially in Asia, there's a bias against girls becoming software engineers or engineers. And I wanted all of these girls to learn. So these are girls, they're not techies, they're accountants, they're students in business management and project management. And I interviewed them, my team and I, and they said, you know, Dr. Ayesha, we read about all of these technologies in the news, and we feel like it's happening, but we don't understand it, so we are insecure. We don't feel confident. And so we started a program. And for 10 weeks, 3 hours every Saturday, these girls came, and they learned the basics of AI. They learned how AI creates business value. They learned how you can manage AI to make sure it is managed well with ethics. And they learned how it can be applied to their dream industries: manufacturing, entertainment, law, accounting. And look at them now. This is their graduation. They were full of confidence, full of smiles. They said, we know we can go into this fourth industrial revolution and have a fantastic career. And this has always been my dream, that people who are not AI experts feel they are part of this revolution, that you don't have to be a techie to be part of the technological revolution, because people like me need people who are non-techies because we are not business experts. And so now there are 3 people in the team: the tech experts, the business experts, and our little assistant, the AI. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayesha. Please don't go. We want to give you this in the name of NUTEC because of your splendid performance here with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This is lovely. Thank you.
This is arte huichol. As you can see, it's made of very tiny little pieces, handed one by one. Wow. So it's a very special gift for a very special talent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ayesha.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.